All right, guys, quick 55 update. I'm still waiting. I'm kind of caught up in shipping right now on a couple things for the floor pans, and I got my welding wire. It's just going to take a couple more days. I'm not going to be able to do anything really to it this weekend. My boy Lumberjack Rogelio over here chopping some wood up.
You know, just here preparing the Viking fire.
Hell yeah. So we're going to do the reasonable thing, which is take a road trip to my buddy Pat's house where he's working on his cutlass. I got this new camera too. Hope it works out. All right, we literally just got here. And what are you doing right now?
Cleaning a paint gun.
Cleaning a paint gun. It's my boy Pat. I've known him for years. So like, you redid like the whole electrical in this place, right?
Yeah, just got it inspected.
All right.
I still gotta put my, yeah, we just got it all inspected, got it all approved, everything. Yeah, my buddy talked me into getting this panel. He's an industrial electrician. He put the same panel in his garage. His shop is about 5 times the size of this one.
I don't know, man. I think you should have got a bigger one.
Yeah. That's a bit ridiculous. 200 amps though.
Oh, dude, look at this fender.
Yeah, 200 amps.
Dump all your hardware everywhere like an asshole.
Man, don't do that.
What do you got over here?
400 small block.
Oh, dude. Pretty crispy, dude. Has it got a wooden cam in it?
Comp Cam X274.
So it's a wooden cam. It goes wooden.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about what it's going in.
Oh, the little cutty right there that's kind of got some shit stacked on top of it.
It's got some shit stacked on top of it, but it's got some good shit in it. Dude, I can walk around here now. This is nice. Can't believe there's no rust in this thing. How long is this thing sitting in a field?
Almost 10 years.
Oh, ooh, hey. Got some Brodix boys in a box.
Yep. Come on, buddy.
You're getting all like professional on us now. Like, what are we gonna do?
We just degreased the engine. Use some KBS. KBS is the bomb. Look how clean it is. So it's pretty clean. What we gotta do after this is apply zinc phosphate to it. Zinc phosphate is a rust inhibitor, and it etches, so it's a primer in a sense. Zinc phosphate's one of the best etching materials you can use. So we're not going cheap with like that iron phosphate crap.
Probably much too nice for this motor.
Yeah, but I like nice stuff.
I don't even paint my cars with a paint gun. All right, we're almost ready to spray this pig down.
And we still gotta apply the zinc phosphate.
Oh, I forgot you got to put your witchcraft on it.
You gotta have an etching material for proper paint adhesion.
I mean, I usually just like, I get it good and like dusty by leaving it neglected and parked outside for a long time. And I just dust it with like flat black. I thought that's how you're supposed to do it.
This is a secret to proper paint adhesion.
Proper paint adhesion. Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell.
This has a flash time of like 20 minutes, so we gotta kind of repeatedly spray it for like 20 minutes. Can't dry.
I'm sure we'll figure it out. We have the entire internet in our pocket.
We don't need internet. We need a timer.
The shop's looking good though. See if I can incorporate some pictures like the way it looked like before.
Oh man, it's pretty rough.
Dude. Oh yeah, I forgot the most important thing. Oh, duh, new fridge. What is this, like your dead hooker fridge?
Yes.
All right, now we're ready to paint.
We're etching.
Should I put this on it?
What? No.
So how mad are you gonna be if this flakes off like a week after you put it on?
Oh yeah, this is drunk shit.
He's not sharing, ladies and gentlemen.
Probably don't need to worry about the oil pan too much.
I mean, no one's gonna see it unless you roll the car.
Yeah, true.
So it's like when this dries, it's gonna be like that chalky.
You don't want it to dry.
Okay.
Drying's bad.
Drying's bad.
Yeah, you don't
let it dry.
You don't want the phosphate to dry on the substrate.
So you're just gonna keep hosing it down for 15 minutes, or?
Give or take, yeah.
Okay, well, cool. What color are you gonna paint it?
Oldsmobile bronze.
Ooh, I'm actually into that.
I think it's gonna be kind of more of a brown though, honestly.
It's like you can fool your friends, but you can't fool us.
Yeah. Hopefully I don't gotta put a new cam in it. But if I do, it's gonna be a bigger cam because the heads can take a 575 lift. Oh shit. And this has got like a 490 in it.
Yeah, I remember you were telling me it's not like a super high lift cam. It's just like it's a high lift, low duration cam.
No, this is a opposite. It's small lift, larger duration.
Okay.
So it's a bit choppy. I've been watching videos of the same cam on YouTube, and it sounds way meaner than you would think it sounds.
Dude, like they should just put like YouTube links in like Jegs and Summit. This is what the cam will sound like.
So some suppliers do that. Some like exhaust, like you can go look at like MagnaFlow does that, Borla does that. Well, they'll show like your application with that exhaust. But they don't really do that with cams because I think there's too much like variables with cams, right? That's like what exhaust are they running, what diameter, how long is.
What do you know, Pat? You're basically an engineer at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta edit that part out.
Yeah, I mean,
my paint protection.
These are like custom, dude. Like you should just punch holes in these and run them with a water pump and everything.
Yeah, I just traced the gasket and was like, it should keep paint out. Damn. Man, I'm surprised the whole garage didn't fill with stench when you open that fridge. I don't think there's nothing in the fridge.
No.
The freezer though's got like, it's got like a couple pounds of deer meat in it.
Oh, and it's off.
It's been off for almost a year.
Oh.
And no. Either this month or next month it'll be a year.
Let's open it now.
It stunk pretty bad for a while and it stopped stinking, so.
Yeah, well.
I'm not, yeah, so look, the surface is starting to etch on the oil pan. Probably because it's just so flat. Yeah, back here you see it looks terrible.
Do we gotta like talk Mason into like making videos and sending them to us?
I'm Mason Hill and Patrick's a jackass. Whose car is this?
I financed the computer build.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, so I'll have a computer probably in like, I don't know, a month or so. You know, it's all dependent on parts and shit.
It's changing colors. It's all zinced up. Whatever the hell that means. All right, here we go.
We rolling?
Exit out the back. Never show your head around again. Purchase your ticket and quickly take the last train out of town. It's a nice time and let the next one pass. Don't let the door kick you in the ass. There's no return from 86. There's no return from 86.
Real quick, my buddy,
I work at a manufacturing facility.
he works at a engine manufacturing facility.
Hold up. Okay. Damn it!
Just kind of like,
Should we put tape on it?
it's already too late. I already got footage of you without it. All right, so my buddy Patrick, he works at a manufacturing facility that makes, we'll just say pretty important engines. So,
We manufacture diesel engines.
all right. And I was talking to him because there's a big fuss on the internet right now about painting over gasketed surfaces. And he was actually laying some knowledge on me that I think you guys might appreciate.
So I would say you don't want to paint over a gasketed surface, and the reason I say that is most of your gasketed surfaces, they're machined, right? So they use a CNC or some type of lathe or some type of precision equipment to make that machine surface, right? When you're laying down paint, especially like when you're laying it down manually, like with a gun or spray can
Yeah.
or whatever, like you're not gonna get an even coat no matter what you do. So like your typical DFT or dry film thickness, like say this is 3 millimeters DFT, right?
Yeah, 3 millimeters on the painted surface versus the non-painted surface.
So this is, we'll just call this 3 DFT, 3 millimeters of dry film thickness against this substrate, right? So it's protruding 3 millimeters above the substrate surface, right? So if you paint over a gasketed surface, especially if your coat's uneven, now, to be honest, like most gasketed material, especially like good quality gaskets, will conform to those discrepancies, right? To those valleys, to those dips. The thicker the gasket, the better you are, because it'll conform to those dips and valleys, right? But a general rule of thumb would be no, you don't want to paint your gasketed surfaces, because a piece of high-tech machinery, high-tech tooling made this surface as smooth as possible. I don't know off the top of my head like what your RSM value would be on this, but like your RSM is going to be like your surface texture, right? The surface texture is important, you know, that's where your intake's going to go. So this surface texture compared to this surface texture, this raw casting, is obviously different, right? And when you paint over that, no matter how good you are, your paint is not going to lay flat, right? So like typically like what we do is our average dry film thickness is 3 millimeters, right? But you could be as high as 7 or 8 in some spots, right? But as long as your average, your total of whatever component you're painting is 3 DFT, you're good. But no matter how good you are, you're gonna have spots that are thicker, some spots that are lesser. And if your gasketed material can't conform to those discrepancies, then you're gonna create a leak path. Oil isn't too bad.
Get that piston number in there.
Water isn't too bad, but like if you ever are trying to seal something by air, your air molecules are a lot smaller, and those inconsistencies will create a leak path.
You're already breaking my brain, man. I'm just a dumb mechanic. I'm gonna trust my boy here because he listens to engineers at his job, and they know their stuff.
Some of them. Sometimes I gotta school the engineers, but overall.
Sometimes you gotta teach them not to trip over Febreze, you know?
Yeah, them dudes are pretty smart, man.
Paint your gasketed surfaces. Live action.
Don't paint your gasketed surfaces. Say gasketed surfaces, machine surfaces. Where your head gasket's gonna sit, that really doesn't matter, right? And a lot of people like to use RTV on their cylinder heads. I like to use Crisco. Crisco seems to have like the best seal, and the engine smells kind of good.
Yeah, it's like
when it gets
you
warm.
get this nice aroma of French fries.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say like that's a secret that probably a lot of people don't know. Is use Crisco instead of RTV, much better seal.
Kind of like make sure like you don't take anything we say seriously, but I don't know. I'm probably not gonna paint my gasketed surfaces anymore.
Here, let me try the secret. Oh, well, it worked that time.
So what's up with the charcoal?
It's the best charcoal ever.
Why is that?
I don't know. All right, I'll show you. Look, it's oak briquettes. Look how big they are.
Dude.
That's a big briquette. Gotta put it in the Weber charcoal starter. Yeah. Some Uncle Chris's. You can probably throw them in the fridge. It's gonna be a little while. All right. Turn light on. We might want some bug spray.
Yeah.
You have a lighter?
Yeah.
Light them cubes. They light really easy. Here. My striker went out, but it's got gas. No, that's the way to go. Beer.
So what is this? Is this a green egg?
It's a Katara Special.
Katara Special. Is that like those new Traeger grills that like it's got like an electronic hopper over here that like feeds wood chips into your
1995, my dad bought 20 of these from Albertsons because they were shutting down the store, And this,
They literally sold this.
yeah. We bought 25 of them.
Yeah, it's
And this is, we've had it since 95-ish.
it's basically like the best grill in the world.
It's a pretty good grill. I'm gonna lie.
The grills at the racetrack really, really nice. I'll tell you that much. Especially when you have no utensils.
What beer cans are for. I keep my old charcoal. It makes the firelight really easy.
Ah.
Check out the garden.
Oh yeah, I saw that, dude. Dude, the garden's on point. What do you say, Hooter? Keeping an eye on stuff? What do you think, Shiner? Is chair safe?
Yeah. It's a little dirty, but
All right. The history of the cutlass.
I don't know. You can probably start that one.
Well,
Yeah, fucking A.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I only had the car for like
Goddamn.
a quarter of my life.
Damn.
Like my dad bought it back in like 1990, I think, or 91, and my grandma drove it, and she drove it around. It had like the old wheezy, like 3.2 or 3.8 V6. I can't really remember which
3.6 or 3.8.
3.6 or 3.8, the little wheezy V6 in it. And she eventually, like, she would always just run it. She would always run it up to the store, like kill it, get a pack of smokes, and then drive back. And then one day, like, she blew the V6 up, right? So my dad, like, over the weekend, he just like chunked a like 350 turbo 350 in it, like just like that, straight drive fan. Didn't tell her nothing. Didn't tell her shit. So she hops in it to like go to like Eckerd's to like, you know, go to the drugstore.
Eckerd's.
Yeah, dude, way back in the day.
Is it 3.8?
3.8, yeah.
3.8.
And on Belknap, it's almost like it's a really tight turn.
Like Belknap in like 28 over
Yeah,
there?
it's like that, like
Yeah.
a V. And she's used to just like flooring it like to get out into traffic. She just floorboards this thing, and she does like a donut and a half, and she ends up on the other side of the road, like in this gravel parking lot, just shaking, and this motorcycle cop pulls up behind her, like, "Ma'am, are you okay?" And she's like, "I don't know. My son did a tune-up to this car, and I don't know what he did." And like time goes on, and my grandma ends up passing away, and I end up driving the car for a little bit.
You delivered pizzas in high
delivered
school.
and Chinese food.
Yeah.
So I delivered pizzas and Chinese food in this car,
Oh, God.
and this worn out, like, hey, it was worn out, but it would get like second gear scratch. I remember like we like ditched high school one day.
Now, do you remember how we did that?
How was that?
So, we weren't 18 at the time, so we couldn't sign ourselves out. So we couldn't get out of the little security area.
Yeah.
So we went and found someone that was 18. They signed themselves out, and then we had to explain to them how to drive the car.
Yeah,
Oh,
dude, that was Nick Brown.
Yeah, it was Nick. So we had to explain to Nick how to drive the car.
All right, when you start it, you got to like jiggle the key first to get it in there in the ignition slot, and then you got to like wiggle the steering wheel, wiggle it over, and then make sure it's in like this gear, and you got to hit the gas exactly 3 and 42% times. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it'll start. I guarantee it. There's like an old worn out quadrijet on it.
Nick pulls the car around front. Cody gets it. Nick goes back to school. Nick wasn't skipping school. He's just getting the car for us. And then Cody calls me and he's like, "Hey, I'm at the door." So he's at like the side door, and I'm walking to the door, and Coach Brown sees you parked in front of the door and sees me walking to it. And there's probably like, there was a fair distance between us, right?
Oh, God.
And I look at him and he's like, "Katara, don't you do it.
Don't you do it!
And I'm looking at him and I look at you, and I run for it, and I dove head first into the car. I remember I ripped my t-shirt.
We delivered Chinese food, pizzas, all kinds of stupid stuff that you shouldn't be doing with that car. Like, it was very unreliable. It was
never broke down on us.
It never broke down, but like, it was just a bitch to get running, dude. The quadrijet on it was leaking so bad. Like,
I would have chosen the Cutlass all day over your Beretta.
I didn't pick the Beretta. The Beretta happened first, and the Cutlass happened after the Beretta blew up.
I remember going down Blue Mountain Road. Everyone was just minding their own business, And I was like, Cody didn't know where we were going, and I was in the back seat telling him where to go. And I was like, take a right. And he's like, what? I'm like, take a right. And Cody doesn't even like hit the brakes that hard, and both front tires lock up, and we're doing like 50.
Something like that, yeah.
And the car just immediately locks the front tires and goes into first gear. Cody's like, oh, they're trying to throw it into neutral.
There was like a shorter list of things that worked on that car than, you know, the stuff that.
So like the brakes are locking up, and we're like, and then it's like, out of nowhere.
And it rod knocked so bad. It rod knocked for like the entire time I had it.
I'm sitting
it
in the back
overheated
seat.
all the time.
Cody's trying to throw it in neutral. I'm like, what the f?
It overheated all the time. Like, you'd have to have the heater blowing in like 110-degree Texas heat all the time. There's like 15 like people in the back.
Yeah.
Like always, like you're going to a house party or something like that. But anyway, we're getting sidetracked to Cutlass. So anyway, I deliver like Chinese food and 40s to house parties and stuff in this thing. Remember when me and Jason would go? We get like a case of 40s and go to Dirty's house.
Yeah.
And
we could probably still do that.
It ends up having like transmission trouble or something like that. Ends up sitting in my backyard for like another 3 or 4 years.
What sucked is your dad was about to sell it to me running, but then his engine and this he had a 78 C10, right?
Yeah, no, I had to put that in, I had to take that engine out of the Cutlass and put it in the green truck.
Because Cody's dad was gonna sell the car to me like running and driving, and then the engine in his truck blew up, and he had to pull the 350 out of the Cutlass to keep his truck running.
So
and then the day I went to go buy the Cutlass, I had to work that night. And so we go to buy the Cutlass, and Cody's dad's like, hey, I'm at Walmart. I'll be there in 5 minutes. And it's literally like you could walk to Walmart from your house, from your dad's house.
Yeah.
And he never showed up. And we're like, dude, what's taking so long? Then you hear this truck in the distance. He's like, your dad didn't, you typically drive like a crazy person if he was sober.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he comes flying down the street, locks it up in the driveway, and he is pissed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's going on? And your dad's like, come here. Come here. And we walked to the other side of the truck, and while he was at Walmart,
oh yeah, like got T-boned.
A like 80-year-old lady T-boned him in the parking lot.
No.
My dad was like giving plasma or something that day, and like he was putting this lady on like an S10 just T-boned him. He spun around like twice.
Yeah.
Dude, bashed the entire side of a long bed 78 C10.
Like right in between the cab and the freaking bed. Just
perfect,
yeah.
dude.
What the fuck?
But didn't like mess the 12 bolt up, surprisingly.
Yeah.
It didn't bend an axle or anything like that. I was floorboarded. But
Damn.
anyway,
and then we flat towed it all the way to
yeah. Well, no, like you got to tell them about the 455 and the package deal. Because anyway, we yanked.
I don't want to think about that anymore.
We yanked the 350. Man, that was on you. We yanked the 350 out,
dude,
and then we put it in my dad's pickup. So it's got no engine, but it's got transmission.
It's 2020. Okay, This was in 2010. This was 10 years ago, almost to the day.
Yeah, we're just getting started, folks.
Yeah, this is 10 years ago to the day almost. I remember. I think what day did I graduate? Like July 6th or something. I want to say it was like July 5th or 6th I graduated.
Yeah.
And at the graduation party at my house, that's when we got the idea to go buy the Cutlass. And then we went and bought it like the next day. So yeah, that was like 10 years ago this month.
Wow.
That we bought that car. And then flat towed it all the way from the shop to my house.
It's a saga. It's a long saga, people.
We definitely can't talk about how we made room for it in my garage.
No.
That doesn't get talked about.
Anyway. So anyway, you get that 350.
I'm really surprised that like the sheriff didn't show up at my house like a week later. Like, hey, is this yours?
No.
I threw that away responsibly.
We'll just say a trailer full of stuff in a garage disappeared.
Dude, we tried so hard to dispose of it properly.
We did.
I did not really think that like throwing trash away would be so difficult.
They make it's even worse now.
Yeah,
like even though I got a water bill in my mom's name at the dump, they won't take it.
Why is throwing away trash so hard?
Everything you use is somewhere. That beer can, that's gonna be in the ocean. Everything you've ever used is gonna be somewhere one day.
I recycle.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, my dad gets mad at me.
Anyway, the so you get the 355 built.
No, so I went and took the 455 to Wes's, to the machine shop, and I was like, how much to rebuild this? And he quoted me like $1,500 for the short block, and I was 18 at the time. I was like,
It would have been cool, but you had to like fabricate a lot of stuff to just mush that into a.
no, it fit, dude.
It fit?
It fit, yeah.
Dude.
Dude, the 455 with the Turbo 400 barely fit. You don't remember that we test fitted it on the
I don't remember us
stand.
I remember us taking the motor apart.
We test fitted it on the we never bolted it in, but we set it on the what, A-frame, K-frame, whatever fuck. We set it in there, and because I remember looking at it like the bell housing, and I'm like, there's no way it fits, and it fit with probably about this much room to spare.
Wow.
So like, yeah, we wouldn't have had to fab nothing.
Distributor comes in and out.
The distributor on that engine was the front.
Oh yeah, one of them backwards engines.
Yeah, the 455 distributor was right here up front.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, that's, when I sold that thing, I mean, I got good money for it. And I remember me and Mason found a set of pistons on Craigslist. We went to Garland to pick them up.
Mason's still doing that. He's like sawing like exhaust out of like junkyard cars for his truck. I'm like, what are you doing?
And then he tells you about how much money he makes, right?
Yeah, right.
Man, dude, I made like 20 grand this month.
No,
like, oh, why'd you go to the junkyard and freaking... You didn't even use power tools.
Right. Nah, he's a cool dude though. Shout out to Mason. He's watching this right now, taking a shit.
Probably. Well, long story short, we had the car in my garage. Couldn't afford the 455. I bought a 350 from your dad that was literally laying in the front yard. That 350 is still in my garage.
There was a radio. I remember that engine.
Yeah.
It came out of Billy's truck, which is the original.
It came out of a 77 C10, I think.
Yeah, yeah. It was the one that was originally in the green truck. It was Billy-fied, and then my dad just pulled it out, sit it in the middle of the driveway in the back, put a radio flyer wagon on top of it, and it sat there for 3 years until you bought it.
Yeah.
And then
Like, not covered or anything.
no, it had a radio flyer wagon on it. That is the pinnacle of technology. If you're gonna seal an engine, you get a radio flyer wagon from the 40s, and you flop it down right on top of the valve covers.
Yeah. And then I remember your dad was like, take it to this machine shop, tell him that, what's your dad's name? Mike, duh.
Come on.
He's like, tell him Mike Jones sent you there. Mike Jones.
Mike Jones.
He's like, tell him Mike sent you there and he'll take care of you. And I was like, all right, cool. Go to the machine shop. And this is after I got the quote for the 455. So I was like, I can't afford that, dude. I don't make very much money. I take the 350 up there and I'm like, how much is this? And he quoted me a good deal. And $1,500 for a turnkey. And I was like, okay. And then I told him, I was like, yeah, Mike Jones sent me here. And then he went off on me. Because this is a f***ing boat anchor. Fuck Mike Jones. Oh my God. I don't know Mike. But no, Wes hooked it up. So like when I ended up getting the receipt, the only thing he had charged me for was the balancing and all the hard parts. So he put a stock replacement cam in it. He put a stock replacement connecting rods in it, and then he put a set of 10-to-1. I think they were scat pistons, flat
Something
tops.
like that, yeah.
So it had flat top pistons, and it was 30 over. So they only charged me for the machine work and for the parts that he had to buy.
It ran pretty decent. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Everything else he didn't even charge me for. Like when I got the receipt, dude, I remember it was $1,500.08, and he made me give him the 8 cents.
Hey, man's got to eat.
And I went in there and he called me on the phone, told me it was ready, and I was like, all right, cool. So I went to go pick it up. I don't remember what cam it had in it. It had a cheap cam in it. But I went over there and went and picked it up, and it was $1,500.08, and I was like, I gave him $1,500, and I was like, and he just like stared at me, and I was like, do I need to give you the 8 cents? And he was like, yeah.
Well, it's like a tattoo artist, man. You got to tip them.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So I gave him $1, and he gave me change.
So that's that motor. We ended up like hodgepodging it around in a bunch of projects. We ended up getting it running.
Dude, that engine.
We were dumb back then because we didn't.
That engine was in like what three or four cars before we even turned it over.
Yeah.
So alright, long story short, the reason the Cutlass.
Long story long.
The reason the Cutlass ended up in my backyard is because I convinced my mom that it would take us like what 2 months to get it running.
Yeah, no, it's no problem. The job will be done in 2 hours.
And about a year later, all we had left to do was wire it. That's all we had left. I mean, it had carb, it had headers, like the car was done, and my mom made me get rid of it. So
What?
Yeah, you came and picked it up for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And so before I owned this property, this was still my grandparents', and this was the only place I had to take it. So my dad had to come to town for whatever reason and picked it up while he was there, and we parked in the backyard for 10 years.
Yeah, it was in the backyard, but you did rip the carpet out, and
We ripped the carpet out when it was at my mom's.
What? Boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
I had a you have a theory that it didn't rust the floorboards out sitting it back there that long because you ripped the carpet out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you just get lucky sometimes.
Dude, that floorboard the car is solid.
Yep.
I don't know.
Like even okay, when I had the chassis sandblasted, even my sandblaster was like, dude, he was like, I do a lot of chassis. He was like, this thing's in good shape. He told me that he had a dude not that long ago that he went and blasted a chassis for a '69 Camaro.
This is gone.
Yeah, he said when he got done, the dude was just like flipping out because like the car
like
was,
Home Alone. So like you got the frame blasted from this dude.
Well, I guess we should go back a little bit. So every December, I usually get about 2 weeks off. And last December, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start working on the Cutlass. I had a little bit of money finally, and so I got drunk one night, and I pulled the Cutlass with my truck.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Or I attempted to. So I pulled the Cutlass, and I wish I had a picture of it, but the rear end was only held in with 2 bolts.
Yep.
So I started pulling it, and the rear end just started doing this. And then, so the rear end wasn't even bolted to the car.
Yep.
The rear end was sitting on the ground, so I didn't want to like lay on the dirt and do all this stuff.
If I'm not mistaken, you could see all that on your Instagram. What's your Instagram?
G-Body Taco Pat.
G-Body Taco and Pat, or just Pat?
I don't know.
All right, G-Body Taco Pat. You'll see him.
G-Body and Taco Pat.
G-Body and symbol?
Underscore after every word.
All right, G-Body underscore and underscore taco
underscore Pat.
Underscore Pat. All right, that's.
We'll leave it in the description.
And bam, it's right there.
But I ended up having to cut down like 2 or 3 trees just to get to the car.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, you can see all that.
Yep.
And so you know what? I still can't. I think a raccoon stole a piece of trimming.
It's shiny. They do like that stuff. I would doubt it.
You can look at the pictures of it sitting in my backyard, and it's there.
They got thumbs, but no, it's in the garage now. You got a lot of stuff under there. You got a Curry rear end or something like that.
No, I got a what is it? Performance gear? No, not performance gear. What's the brand?
I don't know. You bought it.
It
came in a Menards bucket.
Yeah, it did. So, like, I had to call them because my rear end showed up, right? No. So, this big box showed up, right? And I'm like, oh, dude, my rear end's here. And I open it up, and it's 2 axles. And then one was shorter than the other one. So, I was immediately like, what the hell? So, I called them, and they're like, oh, yeah, we shipped your rear end in 3 different boxes. I completely forgot to ask him why one axle was shorter than the other. So that kind of just slipped my mind. So then this little box shows up, right? And I'm like, all right, that's obviously the center section, right? Open it up, and it's a Detroit rear end, or Detroit true axle with 390 gears stuffed inside a Menards box in a box. So then finally the last box I got was a big box with the rear end in it. And then I slapped it all together and installed it, painted it. I used the same paint that we're painting the engine with.
Yeah.
I used their chassis paint, sprayed it, just black. And yeah, that was it.
Hotchkiss
Okay.
entire front suspension, right?
It's Hotchkiss up front and EMI in the rear. So in the rear, the top control arms are fixed, and then the lower control arms are adjustable. Both are UMI. And then the rear, it's got a UMI shock brace, and then I have Viking coilovers in the rear, but I can't install the Viking.
Are they adjustable?
Dude, the coil, dude, yeah, they're
dude.
So you can
This thing's gonna launch.
You can control the dampening, or the rebound.
It's gonna It's still gonna G-body shuffle.
What's the other one?
It's still gonna G-body shuffle.
Rebound and compression.
Put a cage in
You
it.
can. There's 12 clicks of adjustment for rebound and compression, but I can't install them because the brackets that they come with will only work on the stock rear end, and my rear end is a little different, so I can't. I'm gonna have to take it to someone and have them fab me up a bracket.
And now it's in your garage. All right, my dudes, and that's the history of the Cutlass.
I'm pretty sure we missed quite a few.
We missed a bunch of stuff, a bunch of key details that you're probably gonna need, but that's the history of the Cutlass.
Like the important parts of it, I guess.
Well,
If only we had video, like flat towing it. That was.
yeah, that was a shit show.
We flat towed that like 20 miles through DFW and didn't get pulled over.
Hey,
That's
through Haltom.
amazing. Yeah, if you know where Haltom City is, north side Fort Worth. Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll catch you later.